Okay, we're going to continue our videos on creating our research paper, or application paper. In this video, we're going to work on creating some of the tables. So if we go back to our paper, they have them at the very end where they have the tables. Keep going past all this. So they have this paper table here where they go through the different years. You have the average beer tax rate, the average minimum legal drinking age, and then those policy variables. Again, we only have really two of these. And then they have the different specifications for their regressions. So understanding what they did in the regressions is helpful to both look at the table and to read in the text what it says. The table really help explain, right? You see here, it can be kind of difficult reading the text to get what all variables are used, but in the table, it can be pretty clear here. You do want to need to read the footnote, right? Because the footnote also tells you they're not going to show all the variables in the table because some are just there for control. They're not really interesting into themselves, right? And so that's in the footnote, generally the table. So you get the additional variables there. But we're going to come back to regressions in another video. Right now we want to focus on, in your data section of your paper, you want to create some tables that give some people some idea of the data. You probably also want to create some graphs. So they create this table. We're going to create this table, and let's create a summary, another summary table. That's a little bit more traditional to how they're presented, although I think this is a good way of presenting it for the way the data is organized with just a few years. Okay, so let's go to, we've got this, our data kind of organized. Package Stargazer kind of automatically creates a summary table of the data that you want. So we're going to use library Stargazer. Let's make sure we run that. We need to install it first. So let's install Stargazer, and then let's try running that again, hopefully. We want to create a summary table. In the Stargazer package, if you send it an object that is just a data frame, it'll create a summary table. If you send it objects that are created from the LM regression package, it'll create a table like what you see here that is intended to show you regression results. So depending on what type of package is sent, we'll create different tables. Now, what we want to do is create a smaller data set. We want to select specifically the variables that we're going to use. So I'm just going to create this new data set, fatality selected. So this is I'm just using my fatalities data set, and then from that, I'm just using the tidyverse command select to select the variables that are going to be used in my project here. Those are the ones that we want in the table. So now if we just put in Stargazer and put in the fatality selected, and now to make it work well inside this R markdown sheet, here we need to put type equals HTML. So that tells it to put out HTML package. And we need to put up here in this R parentheses at the start of the block, we've got to put a special command here that says results equals, it gives us a couple options as is, right? And so that's telling it the results that come out, is telling it, not to mess with it as much as normally, but the Stargazer is going to put out the HTML that we want to see in our final project. So let's go ahead and knit this and see what it looks like when we knit it. And oh no, what is wrong here? I put average mile here instead of average miles. And so if we correct that, okay, so there's the problem solved. Okay, so you see it just gave me a bunch of HTML down here. Okay, so look here that already this is spit out this very nice looking table for us. Okay, so what are some things that we want to change? Okay, first off, this was hard to read in the income column here because there's so many digits. So we want to probably control the number of digits. And then these variable names are, right, they're not capitalized, right? They don't have spaces. We could probably come up with better names for that. Change our Stargazer command. Now, the Stargazer command is going to get long, so it's kind of nice to break it up and put each sub option on its own line to make it easier to read. So we can just digits equal 2, right? So I'll tell you, I didn't know when I started doing this, I didn't remember, okay, how do I control the digits, right? So I was, going into Stargazer, our random web page, searching for this, right? So limit number of digits, right? You can decimal numbers in our Stargazer. Stack Overflow has answers to these questions, right? And so, they have a complex way of answering it. I see they use this command digits, right? So when you're doing this and you get stuck and you don't know, you think, okay, this should have some way of doing this. You could always look through the help here. You can also go to Google and search, and Stack Overflow and other websites will have answers to questions on how you do this, right? So if you don't know exactly how did I know how to do that, right? Some of this I know ahead of time, and some of this I'm searching on Google to find how to do it. Next, we wanted to change the name of the variable. So let's again look at Stargazer chain. Oh, I see it starts automatically coming up in the Google suggestions. I just start trying to type what I want it to do, change variable names. Okay, this is specifically a law text table. We're doing HTML, so that might not answer our question, but let's see. Okay, I'm seeing it's saying this command here, covariate labels, put equal, and then you use the C function to put a list of the different variable names. Okay, so we can do that with our own variables. It looks like you just put them in the order of, so go down to the next line, and I put covariate labels equals C, and then names that will work, and we're just going in the order of the variables as they look good there. Do I might have one too many parentheses there. That looks good. Okay, so let's try knitting again. And okay, so now we see it is still struggling with those digits there, but we see we have the fatality rate there. So that's looking pretty good. I might try to see if I can find a way to improve the spacing here of the income information. I'm going to leave that for later, though. Leave that for you to try to figure that out on your own. Okay, so that's a nice little summary table there. Probably good to add a title to it. Generally, your table should have footnotes explaining the variables, right? So that like percent dry, that is the percent of the population living in dry counties, right? That's something you probably want to explain in your footnote because it's not very clear. The unemployment is the unemployment rate for the entire United States, it says in the data set, not for the states themselves. So you might want to put that piece of data doesn't change for the different states. Again, it's something you might want to put in the footnote underneath the table here. In the paper, they had this other table here. This table here, I think would also be good to create. I think I'm going to break this video up by stopping here, though, and doing this table in the next video.